Hello, and welcome to the Christchurch Fox Chapel podcast. It's the fastest growing conservative, evangelical, charismatic
Anglican
podcast in the entire Fox Chapel area. Ben is away on vacation this week. I'm joined by my wife. Hello, darling.
Hello.
Hi.
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 Hello.
We tried to record a podcast a few moments ago and we were interrupted.
Many times.
By a construction site visit. But we're in a series on Judges. And I think, love, you have a joke that's highly relevant to this series.
It's not that relevant. Joke. Give the joke. Do the joke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do the joke. Yeah.
Okay. Ready for it? It's a cheese joke.
Oh, I love cheese jokes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Honey.
Yes.
What is the best cheese for getting a bear out of a tree?
I don't know, darling.
Well, I can tell you now. Camembert.
Hey!
Hey, Camembert, get it?
That's very good. That's very good.
Yeah, laugh here.
And it's relevant to this series because
Othniel's dad is his name means hunting.
Hunting, okay. And people hunt for cheese.
Yes, exactly. That is what I was just saying.
I thought as much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There you go.
So Othniel's dad was a hunter.
Well, no, just his name means hunter.
Oh, okay.
Kinaz.
Oh, okay. I get
hunter.
It. He's a hero, Othniel. This is the first of our judges, and the judges get progressively worse, I think. They're considered to be weak, a lot of these judges. Othniel's good, but by the time we get to Ehud, which is the second judge, things have already gone wrong, at least in Hebrew thinking, because Ehud is left-handed.
Well, that's not necessary. I mean, that's rude, really. As your fellow podcaster,
what hand do you write with,
darling? I feel
offended
by that. Left is best.
Okay. Well, in their thought, that was a sign of weakness.
Well, they might have been wrong.
And then our next judge that we're going to be studying is Deborah, and she was a woman, which of course...
That's me too. A left-handed woman.
The judges have little hints, I think, of weakness, but by the time we get to the later judges, there's no hinting. They're just outright terrible, more moral failings, like Samson is boastful and Jephthah makes this crazy vow, which he didn't need to make.
Two men, I see. Probably right-handed men.
Two right-handed men. That's right. So Othniel's a good dude. He comes from good stock. He's mentioned earlier in the letter very briefly. He's got form as a good military kind of leader and soldier. And the people of God, though, they need him. So by the time Othniel enters the picture, we're in chapter 3, verse 7. We've kind of set the scene a lot in this series with the pattern or the cycle of syncretism and apostasy and wandering and crisis and crying out. And here's our first example of what it looked like. So the people of Israel did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. They forgot the Lord their God. And I don't know how you read that. I don't know whether this is two separate things. They did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and also they forgot the Lord.
I mean, I think one precedes the other, right? You forget the Lord and you worship other things. Mm-hmm. And inevitably, you're going to live out
so they're intertwined.
Doing what is evil. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So they've lost their ability to kind of think like God or view the world through the eyes of God.
Yeah.
Because they've forgotten him. And I think what's kind of interesting here is it says they forgot the Lord. It doesn't say they forgot about him.
No, that's a good point. Yeah.
Right. Like you've said before about kind of people, about the need to have kind of regular, fresh experiences of Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And well, like you and Ben have said many times from the front, like it's fine to, when we know about the Lord, but we're worshiping other idols, it doesn't make him Lord, actual Lord. Right. It just makes him one of the many things we're serving.
Right. Just another thing we know about.
Right. Which is not what he asks us to do.
No.
No.
No, and I think like when it says they forgot the Lord, it gives me the sense that they kind of stopped talking to him.
Right.
They stopped having a relationship with him.
Yeah.
And they served the Baals and the Asheroth. This is plural. Baal and Asheroth are, or Astarte, or Asherah, or they're all different variations of the same name. Is probably the Asheroth is probably the female counterparts of the Baals.
Okay.
The consorts, and these are fertility gods, so they'd be worshipped, hopefully in exchange for either babies or crops or rain or animal babies or some kind of harvest or something like that. In an agrarian economy, this would be a really powerful god,
right?
At least in their minds. And they served them, which is intriguing because you think maybe like the god is going to help you, but you're in fact helping it.
Yeah, was it you who said last week you end up bowing down to it? You're worshiping whatever you're worshiping. You end up being bowed down and
to it.
Yeah, to it.
Yeah.
I
mean, we'd be sort of. Maybe it's low hanging fruit, but we attack the technology or the iPhone or whatever that we've both got in front of us. But there's that sort of curved in thing.
Yeah, that Ben talked about.
Yeah. That the youth is kind of hunched over a small screen and just curved in on itself.
Yeah, being discipled by
a machine.
Yeah.
And then and captivated by it, like addicted to it, can't put it down at night.
Totally. Becoming enslaved to it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like the idea would be that we were going to go to bed and lie down and talk to the Lord and pray that psalm. Is it 25? And then we would wake up and there's this new dawn and the night has passed and the day lies open before us. And we worship the Lord. And yet, maybe for all of us, me included, really one of the last things I do at night is I check the news on my iPad. And one of the first things I do in the morning is I check the news on my iPhone.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, before I start throwing stones, there's nothing inherently morally repugnant about the news, reading it. And yet here I am kind of beginning and ending my day with this device.
Right. Yeah.
So they're serving the gods that were supposed to serve them.
Yeah. Well, and it's like the Lord was like, "Oh, you want to serve someone other than me? Here you go. Here's a guy," and they serve him for 8 years.
Right. That's in verse 8. So what's going on? This is the same word, served, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I believe is actually a farming word. It can mean can mean something to do with dealing with the edge of the field and tilling it and
serve, worship, labor, do work for. Yeah.
And it can also include the concept of being a bonded servant to that work.
Yeah.
Tied to it. So they're serving the Baals, and then God sends them this terrible king. Let's have a look at him. He's called Cushan Rishathaim, and I don't know whether that's his actual name or a nickname, but you found out his name, I think.
Well, no, I didn't find his. I mean, his whatever
title.
he's called is called. It means double wicked.
He's double wicked.
He's twice wicked. So, not someone you want to mess with or be around or hang out with and have coffee.
We had Hannah Grace.
Yeah, because we want a double grace.
Hannah is Grace, and so Grace.
Yeah.
And someone called this dude double wicked.
Yeah. Either his parents really didn't like him or whatever. I don't know.
There's
shame.
There was a habit of this. I think Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth was known as Antiochus Epimanes. That was like a slur. They did a twist on his name and basically called him weak.
Oh right, yeah,
So,
like King John in Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Remember they came up with that funny song about King John?
Oh yeah. That's right.
Snuzzling, whizzling, beezling, weasling. Anyway, he did not like it.
He didn't like the song.
No.
So you can imagine Cushan not liking the song.
Right.
So the Baals are kind of these gods they turn to, but they're actually serving them. And then now they've got this king that they're serving, same word. Almost like the king is a manifestation of the same thing. And I'm intrigued by the anger of the Lord. Because that's, this verse 8 says, therefore the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. And people don't like the idea of the angry God.
No. But what does that anger?
what does it mean?
Yeah.
It's a nostril word. I think like a kind of a snorting, breathing.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of a word.
Angry, forbearance.
So people don't like the idea of this angry God who's scowling or nosing at them or foreheading against them.
Right.
Who's kind of at them.
Right. I guess no one who doesn't like that has ever been a parent who gets angry when their child does something dangerous, or when their child makes a bad move, that when they eat all of the Halloween candy in one go, and you get angry because you said not to do that. You said that would be bad for you. And they did it anyway. And so why wouldn't you comprehend that in order to save them from themselves, which it does for us all the time, to save us from ourselves, sometimes he'll get angry that we're choosing against him and choosing therefore against our own goodness.
Right. So when you're angry with the kids for hurting themselves by scoffing all the candy, it's a loving anger. Right. Right.
Or, the old example of like when your child wants to run into a busy street, you grab them by the arm and you say, just don't do that again.
Right.
Like, of course you're going to have a conversation then.
And then you go to Brazil and spank them where it's legal.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, I get that, but really this is for their good.
Yes. Right. They've done something that's angered him in the sense that a loving parent is angered, as opposed to him just wanting to get them.
No, this isn't like, you're doing so well, but I feel like I'm a mad person, so I'm going to do something that's unreasonable.
But we also we sometimes try to sort of get God off the hook a little bit by saying, well, no. So God didn't do anything to them. He didn't do anything angry to them. He just sort of left them alone to their own devices. So, like he was just sat back and let them suffer the consequences of their sin. Not what it says here, though.
He sold them into the hand of Kushan Rushtastagaba.
Yes. Yeah. So he's the one behind it. And the people of Israel served him for 8 years. So that's a long, lengthy rule under wicked leadership. Serving the king in the way they serve the gods.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but it's so interesting. I love, if you're reading the whole thing, they served wicked for 8 years. Right. But they had 40 years under Othniel.
Right, in verse 11.
Yeah, so that just makes me think of like, weeping comes in the night, but joy comes in the morning. Like he is faithful to 1,000 generations.
The recompense is much better.
Yeah, the third and fourth generations, not so good when you do wickedly. But when you're faithful, it's 1,000 generations who are blessed, Yeah,
it says the land had rest, which is intriguing.
Yeah.
It's a sense of like a corporate rest time coming for all of them.
Yeah.
And quiet and peace.
Yeah.
And settledness. So tumult gives way to settledness.
Yeah.
And the settledness outweighs the tumult.
Yeah, and there's so much action by the Lord in this. Like he sold them into the hand of wicked. And then when they cried out, he raised up a deliverer. And then the Lord gave wicked, Kushan Rathshakan Shabada, into Othniel's hand.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of the Lord's doing in this.
Yes, so I mean, even like beginning with just the word Lord, which is a nod to his sovereignty, I am, its existence itself, the origin of all things, sustainer of all things. You get this the word Lord in Bible is like a sermon in a word, in a name.
Yes, yeah.
It's a reminder of who he is and what he does. Yeah,
because this is the capital Lord.
Right.
Little. Yeah.
Because if we had I am, which is what that is.
Yeah.
In English, the sentence wouldn't make much sense. Right. So the editors have put Lord there, but used a different typeface to give us a sense that there's actually a word behind it. Right. So Lord is a reminder that God's all over this, but he's also all over this. He's selling, he's delivering, he's raising.
Yeah.
All the verbs are to do with him.
Yep.
Cool. So then we get to this deliverer who saves. It's the same word, deliver and save, are kind of the same word, right? Son of the hunting man.
Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And the Spirit of the Lord was upon him.
Right, which immediately sounds like Christ.
Yep, totally. And it's another occasion of the Spirit being mentioned in
the Old Testament.
Yeah.
So when people say there's no references to Trinity in Scripture, or there's no references to
the Holy Spirit
in the Old Testament,
we
have the Lord, we have the Spirit, and we have the servant judge, who's clearly a Christ figure, because he's a deliverer. He's been raised. He's there to save.
Yep.
And the Spirit's on him.
Yeah.
Okay. He judged Israel, which just kind of means he cracked on with good ruling.
Right.
Just ran stuff well, basically.
Yeah.
But he also went out to war, and I find this intriguing, right? So like our idea of a good leader would be they keep the peace, right? They bring, they don't stir things up too much,
right?
So you're going to come in, okay, you've got to right the ship. So there's some administrative stuff that kind of probably needs to be updated, like the columbarium regulations probably need to be redrafted, and,
right?
There's the some of the wax seals on the toilets on the third floor are kind of a bit leaky. We should probably, get those replaced.
And what does so-and-so want? And what does so-and-so want? And this comes down to that thing I was mentioning to you the other day, that there's a difference between peacekeepers and peacemakers, right? In the counseling world setting.
Okay.
So it would be peacekeeping to say, oh, let's just make sure everyone's okay. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. We don't want to, but ultimately, in his going to war, he is a peacemaker. He's active in bringing about the peace that is more important, even if it upsets a few apple carts. Yeah.
Well, and the apple carts need to be upset because fundamentally the people are worshipping Baal and struggling under an evil king.
Right.
So plainly, their situation is actually not good.
Right.
Even if it's comfortable. Or even if they're comfortable with the discomfort, they're familiar with it.
Yeah, familiar.
It's actually no good, but they're used to it.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I still think this is important, that this isn't just about leadership technique. So, okay, right, he does the administration well. He judged Israel. He set rules and laws, and he rewrote bylaws and regulations, and then he enforced them as well. So there's good kind of jurisprudence going on inside Israel under him, and also he went out to war, so he's not just looking after what's going on inside, he's also just kicking off, causing all this sort of chaos. But it isn't just a technique, right, of merely administrating this state well, and also kind of prosecuting war well,
right?
Like he's not Churchill.
No. He's not just a good human leader.
Right.
He is a spirit-filled minister of God.
Right.
So, and this, I love this because this is available to all of us, right?
Any of us
can be filled with the Spirit, and therefore we can judge rightly. We can go into our own types of wars, the wars we need to war in prayer over our families, war in prayer over our marriages, and we can do all of these things. And we do it through the leading of the Holy Spirit and the crucifixion of our own flesh. Because when we are filled with the Spirit, what we want to do is not do what our human nature wants, but it is to do the thing that the Lord is calling us to do. And then he empowers us to do it. And so we find success and rest. And it doesn't mean it's not war. It doesn't mean it's not hard.
Right.
Or that we don't come against other people that are going to not dislike us, or come against the enemy, who wants us to fail, who wants to steal, kill, and destroy stuff in our lives. But if we are filled with the Spirit, he will give them over to us. He will prevail. Right.
So this is another thing, isn't it? That although he's administrating things well and he's going out to war, it is in fact the Lord who gave Cushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand.
Yeah.
So it's God who brings the victory.
Mm-hmm.
And so his hand, whose, prevailed over Cushan.
I know. It's like, whose hand? Whose hand is that?
Yeah.
That's questionable, right? Like the Lord gave them over into his hand, and his hand prevailed over. So it's really like it's all one and the same, isn't it? Like
I think so,
is it
yeah.
the Lord's hand? Is it his hand? Is it his hand animated by the Spirit of the Lord, which is probably more right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I just love that.
Yeah.
And then everything, the land had rest for 40 years.
Right. So there's this peace. But before the peace can be kept, it has to be made.
Yeah.
And before it can be made, it kind of has to be disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real disruption in the land.
Yeah.
Because it needs it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the land is not at peace.
Right.
Now, a lot of us have made peace with the gods of the land. Like,
yes.
Well, we feel we have.
Right.
We've settled for a blended faith of God plus the thing.
Whatever else.
Whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
Maybe like Baal's a bit different. Baal is just a demon. Like there's no good redeeming thing about Baal. The iPhone has good redeeming things. There's an analogy, right?
Yeah.
But it's not identical.
Yeah.
I think but it's worth noting that good things can become idols too. So the idols aren't all purely wicked, solely manifestations of the demonic. The idols can also be just lumps of wood that we've made.
Yeah.
There's nothing inherently evil about the lump of wood. It's just a lump of wood.
Right.
But it's now there are demonic forces behind it, using it, manipulating us.
Yeah.
And the more kind of we take our eyes off the Lord, the more we tend to put our eyes on whatever our neighbours are up to.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all doing this thing.
Right.
Have you heard the latest thing? And they're like, oh, we better get on board.
Right.
We've got to buy that stock because everyone else has bought it.
And it seems to be working.
And it seems to be working.
Until you scratch just a teeny bit below the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize it's not working.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, darling.
And thank you, love.
I don't know if you have any more jokes for us.
I sadly, I don't.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
I know.
Well, maybe next time you come on, you could bring us several mum jokes. We'd like that.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. Ben now, once Ben hears this, Hughes, he's going to think, oh, joke of the week, that's going to be the next thing.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Listener, please send us in some fresh material.
Yeah, please. I'm very sorry I started this.
That's how it starts.
Yeah.
Because no one's got their eyes on the Lord. They've got their eyes on you, love.
That's right.
We have to do
my
cheese jokes.
fantastic humor.
This has been a podcast of Christ Church, Fox Chapel.
Bree back next week.
Very
See
good.
that? I just did that.